What I'm interested in this show is, can we get to a point where Loki is doing that self-reflection on his own, gaining a better understanding of who he is on his own? I think that's a really compelling journey to take a blockbuster movie villain on over the course of a 6-episode TV series.
You picked up the Tesseract breaking reality. I want you to help us fix it.
Loki picks up in 2012, right after the Battle of New York, after Loki's been defeated.
In Endgame, we see Loki obviously still a Tesseract, a different Loki when they travel back in time. And that Loki is our Loki who will be following in the show. So he wasn't supposed to steal the Tesseract. He was going to, go back to Asgard and be arrested. And a lot of things obviously happened to him across that time, and go on that journey from villain to anti-hero and see this growth and reconcile with his brother. And our Loki hasn't done that. He's in a very different emotional space, and he breaks time and basically by stealing that Tesseract, and then he's arrested by an organization called the Time Variance Authority,
which is a sort of bureau in the MCU that deals with time and essentially maintaining the integrity of time. The idea is that there's this sacred timeline, how things are meant to happen and unfold, and that's sort of overseen by these overlords, the timekeepers, as it were.
Basically, it's their job to make sure that things are proceeding along that correct path. As Loki's pulled into the TVA, I would say it just takes place almost outside of time, where the TVA exists, as sort of outside and alongside that, time as we think of it.
You're taking me somewhere to kill me.
No, I'm taking you someplace to talk.
Well, I don't like to talk.
But you do like to lie, which you just did.
Mobius represents the TVA, and he believes in that mission. Mobius has really studied Loki and knows, so much about, his life, and that actually is sort of the chess match that kind of plays out between Mobius and Loki. The fact that I'm really kind of a Loki expert, that sometimes can even give me the upper hand in dealing with him, and the fact that I sort of know things about his life and what's to come and can prove it to him. The idea of free will, I'm not sure that Mobius even concerns himself with, that philosophical question. He sort of just accepts the timeline for what it is, and that's that.
What I'm interested in this show is, can we get to a point where Loki is asking those questions of himself, unprompted?
Tom always has this really beautiful way of describing Loki. Like, the personality he has is like all these different keys on the piano. And in the the movies that have come before us, we've seen some keys on this piano. But I think in the television show we're making, we get to explore so much more. And I think even just things like Loki's magic, we get to explore more of that. And the whole show is really about identity and self-worth and, am I completely bad? Am I completely good? Am I something more in between? And I think Loki is the perfect character to explore that idea with, and that echoes out across all the characters in the show. So I just think from like a nerdy perspective, it's fun, right? Because there's the nature and nurture aspect, because obviously we've seen this Loki from Avengers go on a very different story and seen how those circumstances affected him. But I love in our story that we've put a character we know, but in a completely different circumstance. And it's like, oh, well, will his journey be similar or won't it? And I think that's something really fun to unpack. So